Today, we're going to be talking with Jose Antelo. He's a early career hire. He joined Boeing about a year ago and recently moved from Long Beach, California to San Antonio, Texas. I'd say he's the first one that we'll be talking with that is early career. This is the 1st of May, 2024. 2:30 my time, so 4:30 his time. Jose's running a little bit late, so we will pick it up as soon as he gets here. Could actually stop this one and start it over, I think. Excuse me. Could be here in a minute. There he is. Hey, Jose. Hey, Jose.
It's my fault. My headphones. Hello?
Hey, Jose.
Hey, how's it going, boss?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good,
I,
settled in.
I should be saying that to you if I ever want a job, right? I'm
Yeah.
calling you boss.
No, no. Yeah, things are good, Tim. How about yourself? How's it
Good.
been the last couple months?
It's been good. It's been good. I've been staying busy. Like a lot. I remember people saying once they retired, they said, "How did they have time to get anything else done? How do they have time for work?" And I see what they're talking about. It seems
Yeah.
like there's a lot of things to take care of. Whether it's family stuff or maintenance or whatever. There's just and then there's places to go and things to see and all that stuff.
That's good. I'm glad you're keeping busy. Keep that mind busy and you'll continue to live a very, fruitful life.
Thank you. Thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you agreeing to do this. I don't
absolutely.
know. Yeah. And it's for college students to kind of get an exposure to operations management, manufacturing, supply chain, that kind of thing, which is the business that we're in. And
Yes, sir.
because a lot of the younger folk now, better than me, but they think that manufacturing or operations, supply chain, that means it's dangerous and dirty. But we want to show them that maybe that there's a lot of alternatives. It can be dangerous and dirty, but there's a lot of jobs. There's good careers that won't make you risk your life every day. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. No, absolutely. I've found it to be fulfilling thus far. Every day is a challenge. You learn something new every day. And so I think it's fulfilling work for sure.
what I know the year or so that you and I worked together, we were pretty close together there, and I could see that you were open to new things, new challenges. You got to be where you were kind of becoming like a lead man, where people came to you for advice, and uh, it
Yeah,
was it was refreshing to see your attitude. It was you were a great example.
appreciate it. Thank you. It's the best you could do is your best, right? And so that's always been my approach. And I think and people notice that if you just if your intentions are always good, you're trying to ask good questions and trying to improve things. I think people start to just open up a little bit more and offer more information to be more helpful, which at the end ends up helping you, get your job done as well.
Yeah,
So it's
the other thing that was good for you, I believe, in your career is that you were willing to take the challenge to move out of state, to go from Long Beach, California to San Antonio, Texas. And
yeah,
but can we back up for a second and go back to the beginning for you? And you can go back as far as you want. You can go back to school, but considering working for Boeing, getting into aerospace, how did that happen, or what was the spark that got you to come to Boeing initially?
great question. Well, for as long as I've wanted, for as long as I've wanted to be an engineer, or I had my mindset to pursue this line of work, aerospace was always kind of at the forefront of my vision. It was like the big goal, right? Big picture is where I wanted to end up in aerospace, period. And so it took a lot to get here. Go through school, get your grad. Um, but be outside of the classroom, something that I found very fulfilling or enjoyed a lot was just working on projects outside of just the structured lectures and tests and midterms and all that stuff. Just finding things to work on that allowed you to start applying some of that theory that you were learning. And so I was fortunate enough to have mentors. I think that was a huge difference. Made the difference for me. Was finding folks who were willing and able to donate their time to me and offer me advice, guidance with regards to projects that I wanted to pursue and work on. Um, and so you know, I engineering and came into my life when I was in high school as through the means of a STEM program. It was like a brand new um, science, technology, engineering, and math program. Um, and I just got plucked out. I don't know if it was divine intervention or luck or whatever you want to call it, but I got invited along with 30 other students to attend this, this seminar, this presentation that said, "Hey, look, we're starting this new program. Um, if you're interested in pursuing this, fill out an application, and we'll let you know." So, I at that point in my life, I had no real guidance or goals or anything in to or with regards to kind of the direction I wanted my life to go. Right, I was 15, real role models or anything like that at the time. But I said, why not? I'll try it. Um, I got selected, and so I went through a 3-year structured program to introduce high schools to engineering, technology, math, science. Um, and so that's through those 3 years, very formative. I really bought into the idea that education is the great equalizer. Doesn't matter where you're from, uh, economically, religiously, whatever. Um, when it comes to just knowledge and education, it's we're all equal, right? If you put in the work, you'll see some results. So finishing high school, I went to community college. And then after community college, I went to like the 4-year university, got my degree in mechanical engineering. All the while I was in community college, all the way through university, I was working on robotics projects as a means to kind of just get hands-on experience building things, prototyping things, breaking things really. Because you learn a lot more from your failures than you do from your successes. So failed a lot, which was, I think, oftentimes is not advice that you receive from folks around you. But I think it was one of my mentors said, fail fast, because you'll learn and you'll improve faster that way. So don't get caught up on being a perfectionist all the time. You know, um, do your due diligence, right? Do the analysis. Make sure you have reason and thought behind your decisions you're making, but then don't be afraid to fail. Try things out. So I took that to heart, and it's worked out for me so far. After college, I graduated during COVID. Tough times. Everything was pretty much locked down, shut down. Not a whole lot of companies were hiring. And I was just fresh out of school, so I was, in a state of panic, so to speak, just because, like, oh man, I worked so hard to get this degree. I got my piece of paper. I have all this knowledge, but no one's freaking hiring right now. There's a freeze across the board just because nobody knew what was going to happen, what direction the economy was going to go in, etc.
Mhm.
Um, Leveraged my network. I made a lot of good friends and acquaintances in my throughout my undergraduate career. Um, a lot of us were in the same boat, but some folks that I became very, very close with were in fortunate situations where they had internships and had jobs lined up right out of high school, even though the COVID was, in full swing. They had jobs, and so when opportunities arose within their organizations, they would reach out to me and say, "Hey, um, I know your work ethic. I know what you're capable of. I'm willing to put my name on the line to put in this recommendation for you." And so, I got lucky in that regard and found my first job 3 months after graduating as a quality engineer for Advanix. It was a spring manufacturing company for the automotive industry, a Japanese company. As you know, a lot of quality concepts and principles have origins in the Toyota manufacturing system and
Yes.
just Japanese companies as a whole. So that was, again, another, I don't know what to call it, divine intervention or luck or what you want to call it, but I learned a lot, right? Because I was mentored again by folks because it was a Japanese operated company. Headquarters was in Japan, and we're the U.S. branch. And so while I was getting onboarded and stuff, right, I was interacting a lot with folks out of Japan, and they were teaching me how they operate and how they function as a company, and how they perform, quality and excuse me.
Bless you.
So thank you. So that was my first job. I did that for about a year and a half. I was fulfilling work, but the company was relocating. Seems to be a trend in my life. They're relocating to Tennessee. Um, Again, just the economics of California, not super business friendly, and it just wasn't working for them. So they were like, they offered to relocate me to Tennessee, but at the time I wasn't ready to make that relocation. And so I started looking for another job. This time, um, I w- I found a job as a field engineer, completely separate from quality. I was a wrench turner, so to speak, for a biotech company, based out of Sweden. But they sold a lot of instruments to Pfizer, Moderna, all these large biotech companies that were doing a lot of R&D, research and development for just new drugs that were going to hit the market and that sort of thing, or studying the human body. So I worked as a field engineer for about a year and a half, no, 2 years, 2 years. And that was interesting work. I was out in the field, working with my hands, troubleshooting, doing systems installation, systems testing, systems qualifications, in highly controlled environments, right? Research labs, FDA controlled environments, clean rooms, that sort of thing. And so that was a good experience for me. I got to see kind of just firsthand, just working as a wrench turner, how quality decisions. I'll always try to tie what I learned in my previous job to what I'm doing now. Um, and so, following procedures and making sure you have good documentation practices, that sort of thing was all good stuff I walked away with. Um, Time management skills were huge as a field engineer because you were assigned an area, so to speak. So I was assigned Southern California. So all the biotech companies in Southern California, I was assigned to. So I'd have to coordinate with the customer to make trips out to perform work on their instruments, whether it was installations, repairs, troubleshooting, what have you, to make sure that their instruments were operational and they could do their work. Um, did that for 2 years, like I mentioned, but I saw again, there was a glass ceiling with regards to how far my career I felt could go in that role. I wasn't interested in becoming a manager of any kind, and I wanted to get back to engineering. Just because again, that's kind of where my heart was. Aerospace was still kind of at the back of my mind as a place I wanted to really land and spend the rest of my career. In this industry. And so I started looking at Boeing. Funny enough, again, somebody I met in college, a good friend of mine who was job hunting at the time himself, come across the job posting that I applied for. He said, "Hey, look, Boeing's hiring a tooling quality engineer." So I can't apply for it because he was from the production side. So I don't have the qualifications for it, but I think you'd be a good fit. Why don't you apply? And so I did. On the whim, I said, I have nothing to lose. Why not? So, I worked on my resume a little bit, submitted it, and then I let it go into the void, not really expecting much. And, little do you know, I got a call from Mr. Ramos, scheduling an interview. And I was very blessed and very fortunate, I think, to get that call. Um, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am today.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned divine intervention, and my own belief is God created you and he's watching out for you. But
Yeah,
that's my personal belief. So that's
with you.
wonderful. And so you hired in, what's it been? It's been over a year, right?
About a year and 3 months.
Year and 3 months.
Yes, sir.
And I had the pleasure of working with you for about a year. We were pretty
Thank
close
you.
together, you
Yes,
and
sir.
Danny. And I know Danny seemed very close to you. I could tell you guys, there was a mutual respect for each other.
Absolutely. He treated me like a son, my father was never in the picture when I was growing up and stuff, so I kind of I took a huge liking to him, and yeah, he's very special to me for sure.
Yeah, he's a good man. I've known him for a long time. I think we started working together
Absolutely.
about at least right around 30 years ago. About 30 years ago. Good guy, Danny. So you've been with the company now for about 15 months, and you've had I know you've already had a pretty wide range of jobs and tasks. And Roger is good at giving us side jobs, that are like, hey, I need you to go do this, go chase this down, and you're like, huh, what?
Exactly. He's great
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it hits you wrong. I know for me, it'd be like Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. or Monday morning at 7 a.m. and you're a little cold and it's not hitting you right. And I would think, what does this have to do with my job? But hey, he's the boss, right?
Yeah, and at least so from my perspective, I being early career, I coming in, I was again new to aerospace, not new to quality, but new to just the aerospace environment, the operating rhythm of the Boeing Company, and so um, from my perspective, when I get given a random, I call them two go dos from Roger.
Yes.
I don't mind them personally because again, I'm so new to the industry
Yes.
and the company that like the way I see it is it's an opportunity for me to pick up something new or get exposure to maybe a part of the company or the program that I don't have exposure to yet. And yes, I'll be stumbling in the dark, so to speak, as I work through whatever that task is. But I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm not afraid to ask for help or contact. And that's something I learned from Danny, actually, right? Is ask for help. I saw
Yes.
how frequently and how fearlessly he was open to just, let me just message this person I've never talked to before. I don't even know who they are, but let me get to know them a little bit and ask for their help because they seem to be the subject matter expert on this particular thing that I need help with, right? To do my job.
Yeah, Danny helped me too a lot. Uh, he helped me track down the X-rays on Ship 272, the last aircraft that we delivered a few years ago. It was the very last aircraft. It was in storage there in San Antonio, and
Wow.
we delivered that to India a few years ago. And
Wow.
we had to track down the X-rays because the customer wanted to go through those, even though there was a lot, because we X-rayed the aircraft to look for FOD in the fuel tanks.
Yeah.
So that includes all the wing area. It's huge, and there's
Yeah.
these X-ray panels, and there were big boxes of them, just stacks of them. And he helped me track
Wow.
those down. But yeah, good
Wow.
man.
Were
So
they digitized? Were they digitized or were they all just physical?
they were physical X-rays. Yeah, like I'm going to say like 2 feet by 3 feet or something like that. The actual X-rays. And
Wow.
they had a reader there in Huntington Beach, and I took him over and I gave him to Barry Lyncher, and he went through and read them, and he found a couple squawks, and we had to get engineering to look at them and give uh, they had to give an analysis on them, and
Yeah.
basically, we were okay. The aircraft was okay, but anyway, it was interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
the word I was looking for was disposition. They had to disposition the tags.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've had
Yeah.
those. Did you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
a dispo? But
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
in your career so far at Boeing, what can you share about what you've been through so far? What do you think about your experiences? Have there been some good challenges, and do you feel are there any lessons learned that you could share?
Absolutely. I think the first culture shock that I experienced coming into the organization was just how large we are. How sometimes you feel like just a small cog in a larger mechanism. But at the end of the day, I've come to understand and realize that everyone, no matter how small their role is, has an impact, and makes a difference really. So um, the biggest lesson learned for me is to not be afraid to speak up, raise concerns,
Mhm.
ask for help. If you don't understand how something works or a process, uh, you know, is designed to operate, or is it's okay to ask, right? Reach out to whoever owns that process or is a part of that process and pick their brain. If at the end of the day it's going to help you in the organization or the program succeed in as a whole, big picture, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's the biggest lesson I learned, has been to just communicate, um, and that's and not to be afraid to take on a new challenge or take on a new project, even if it looks daunting or it's intimidating or you feel like you're already stretched thin. As long as you're communicating to your leadership, what you have, what you're working on, they can, give you guidance on what your priorities should be based on the current, list of tasks that you have on your plate.
Yeah, and that's good advice, especially in a big company like Boeing, because they are so big. The chances are there's help available, right? Because
Yeah,
I would consider it to be an A company, like
absolutely.
they've got their ducks in a row. Not necessarily perfect. We got lessons learned, and especially recently, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, it's kind of like when you call a lawyer. The lawyer, you say, hey, I have trouble. I had an accident or somebody fell and broke their leg on my property and now they're suing me or whatever. You call a lawyer. They don't necessarily have all the answers, but there's a law library and they know their way around the law library, right?
Yeah, yeah. That just reminded me of another kind of lesson that I learned, is just to learn to get things done. Not, you're not always going to get the most high visibility, luxurious assignment. You know what I mean? It's okay
Mhm.
to be in the trenches, right? But just learning to complete the tasks you're given effectively. I think leadership sees that and they value that. That no matter
Yeah.
what they may throw at you, if you could, if you're mad, if you have the personality or the perseverance to just figure it out and not be afraid to take things on. I think that's usually highly appreciated, I think, by leadership, and it's definitely productive towards like someone's career.
Yeah. There's a guy named Sam Fanashay. He used to work for me as like a QE, and he would work his butt off. I mean, he'd come to me at the end of the day sweating, trying to get tags closed and stuff. And now he's like a site leader for Boeing at one of the bases in the Middle East. I don't know if it's Qatar or Dubai or where it is exactly,
Right.
but um, I mean, now, and he's being treated like a king over there. But I mean, he was faithful in the small things, as you say, and now
Yeah,
he's faithful on the big things, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good way to look at life. I know that for me, when I was early career, I kind of put myself out there like you, and eventually, I mean, after about 2 years working in scheduling, I had an opportunity to go to the program office, the KC-10 program office.
Yeah.
And it was because I helped on the project for the secondary retention on the DC-10 engines. It was after that Chicago crash where the engine wasn't being maintained properly or installed properly. It broke off, tore through the hydraulics, and the plane rolled over and crashed.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
way before you were born.
yeah.
uh,
No, I remember you telling me that story, and I looked up a whole YouTube documentary series on it to educate myself because I feel like it's a part of aviation history that you got to learn from the mistakes, and so it's thank you for that.
Yeah. And if you think stock price is low now, you ought to look back about that time at the stock price for McDonnell
Yeah,
Douglas. It was
yeah,
it was under $20.
yeah, man. What a steal. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about Boeing's future personally. I know that we're
right.
a good organization, and we just need to kind of get back to our roots and focus pay extra attention to just like the quality side of things, not just worry about schedule. I know that's a concern, but I'm not too concerned about it. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I do too. My finance guy, a few months back he said, Tim, he goes, I'm going to do something. And I think you're probably okay with it, but he goes, Boeing stock is low, but I think it's time to buy. And I said, hey, I trust you and I believe it will be back. It's,
Yeah.
they just have to get back to basics. As you say, focus on quality, first
Yeah,
time quality.
absolutely. And we have to understand too, the context of kind of where we are today too is, COVID hit, generational shifts and turning over of the guard, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
We lost a lot of experience, I think, after COVID in terms of just like our structures, mechanics, and all the very, the senior folks that had 30 years of experience retiring or and all that stuff. So it's just we have to just ramp our workforce back up, and it's just a matter of time. We just have to chip away at it and keep doing the right things over and over, and we'll be all right.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Jose, tell us a little bit about your move to San Antonio. That was a big thing. And how's that going? I mean, are you doing different things, same kind of things? What about the culture there? And tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when it was time for me to make a decision on to whether or not to accept the relocation, or what's the best thing for my family and my career, um, long term, I relied a lot on the advice I was receiving, or I was asking for from folks like yourself or Charles, or Danny, on kind of leaning on giving you all your great experience and what you've witnessed over the years, right? I haven't been fortunate enough to be on this earth long enough to really fit and try to picture what that might look like and what that might result in.
Mhm.
And a lot of folks believe that it was a good opportunity. And once I heard the perspective, and I ended up agreeing. I think it was a good move. Given again how new I was to the program, 8 months in, 9 months in, it was a stressful situation to be in for myself. But at the end of the day, big picture, long term, I think it's the right thing to do, for myself and for the program. Uh, I care about this program, and its success. I wanted to continue to be successful, and I felt that if I just um, were to leave or find another job elsewhere, that would be a little detrimental, to the overall program. I felt like I have a lot more to offer, and I think it was, I treated it as an opportunity for me to kind of step up a little bit and take on more responsibility now that I have more experience and have a greater understanding of how we operate. So the transition's been good. Boeing took care of me with regards to the relocation package. It was all very professionally handled. I didn't have to worry about much. The moving of my things and covering all the expenses, and all that stuff was taken care of. So that was very easy. Um, Coming to San Antonio, in Long Beach, we were in an office environment, far detached from any kind of production environment. And so coming to San Antonio has been, I think it's been good exposure. I'm learning a lot about how the operating rhythm of an MRO site that does a lot of maintenance, overhauls, and repairs of the C-17. So getting to see that work being done firsthand, day to day, is pretty amazing. Um, Culturally, I don't really see too much of a culture difference. There's just a lot more mechanics and things of that nature, folks around, right? And so yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I can't complain. Uh,
Did they allow
it's
you to go out on the airplanes?
everyone. Yeah, I mean, we have free, free reign of the site because we're quality. So if I ever have a question, or want to investigate something, I can go down to the factory floor. Obviously, I need to make sure I communicate with the right through the right channels of the right folks that are in charge of that aircraft to make sure that like let them know of and giving them awareness of my intentions to go look at something. But yeah, it's all very very open book. I haven't had any issues.
That's super. So
Yeah.
are you guys all staffed up there now? Or you have all the crew on board?
For the most part, I think we're looking to hire one more person as a generalist, um, quality generalist to kind of pick up Roger's go-dos that come up or just unexpected tasks that come up day to day. But for the most part, yeah, we're staffed up. I think we have a strong team. You know, Micah Hookie has stepped up in a little bit more of a leadership role, and he's providing a little bit more guidance and direction to the team, and he's kind of um, working a little bit as the middleman between like Roger and us when it comes to certain things. But yeah, I think it's going well.
That's good. Yeah, Mike's a good man. I've known him a long time too. He's a good
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, it's a little eccentric, but once you get to know him, know how to work together, it's okay.
Yes, yes. So, in the last little bit of time we have here, what are there any key points that you could give to college students that are maybe sitting on the fence? They haven't made a decision on which way they want to go in their careers. Is there anything you could share that might help as far as your journey so far? And I know your early career. You're still. I would call you a youngster.
I am, yeah, I am, and that's okay. Advice for folks that are on the fence of whether or not to go into the industrial manufacturing side of things. Um, I don't. If I think it's fulfilling work. I think every day is a challenge. You're learning something new. Um, and if you know you're the type of person who enjoys being challenged day to day or likes learning new things every day and is okay with being a little bit out of your comfort zone every day. I think is the perfect career, really, because there's tremendous opportunity for personal growth, um, and I think at the end of the day, at least the program that we worked for, that I work for, I think it does a lot of good in the world, and so it's fulfilling work at the same time. Um, it's not just about the economic benefits, but also about just uh, the the social benefit, right? That our program brings to society, and the good work that it does. Um, in supporting our country and our allies around the world. Um, yeah, I think my advice is it's okay to fail as long as you learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah, was it Thomas Edison said, I think, what did he do? Fail like 800 times before he got the light bulb right or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jose, just a side note. I wanted to let you know that I hooked up with Charlie again. We got back in the gym.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, so
That's good.
we just started a couple weeks ago, but it feels good to get back in there and
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Let's go. You gotta send me some pictures of you guys.
yeah, yeah. I've got one I can send you.
That's
We
good.
actually met up with a guy who used to work in HR on the C-17. I don't know if you ever met this guy, but his name's Mike Wormlinger.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've met.
Oh, okay. He played some football at Ball State, so he's a pretty big boy. I'll send you a picture.
Hell yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. I've been staying in touch with Danny.
Yes.
He's traveling. He's doing good. He looks healthy. Next time I'm in town, I'll probably grab dinner with him. But he's
Yeah.
doing good. He's been to Portugal. He went on this whole cruise in Europe. It looked like he was having a blast. So that's
That's
good.
wonderful. That's
Yeah,
super.
yeah, it's hard earned. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's earned every bit of it, and
Yeah.
so I know he'll be all right.
Yes. Yes. I know we've been talking about getting together. We were going to go down and check out the drum circle in Huntington Beach.
Nice. There you go. You know, that's
Well,
good.
Jose, I want to thank you again for contributing to this. And you're not going to be in town next week, are you?
Not next week. Not next week. I probably won't be in. Oh, actually, I am. I'm in town this weekend. Actually, I'm
This
gonna be.
weekend?
Yeah, and then next Monday I'm in Reno, auditing some suppliers. So
Okay, you won't be, so you won't be around here next week anytime? Just the weekend?
yeah, unfortunately.
Because they're going to be doing a little recognition at Chapman University. And
Okay,
I was going to invite you, but you know what we'll do is we'll email you this a certificate that's
sure.
like a recognition
I
from Chapman.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Anything else I can do to help, just let me know.
Okay,
I read your
super.
book, by the way.
Oh, you did?
I did. I found it was a good read. It's a great read. You know,
Well,
added,
it was kind of, speaking of early career, that was early life. I just covered up until I was like high school or something like that, you know, but I had fun with it, you know.
yeah, it was a solid read. I'm not gonna lie to you. I binged it. I think I was 5 hour flight and I just got through it all. It
Well,
was a good
thank you.
read.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jose.
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah. You did a great. You should consider, adding a volume 2. You know, you did. It was really good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah. So good to see you and talk to you. You're looking great, man.
Thank
You're
you.
staying
Appreciate
fit.
it. Yeah, I try. That's all we could do is try to stay healthy and live on.
Yes, yes. Well, please say hello to all of our your coworkers there and tell them I wish them the best, Steve
Absolutely.
and Michael and everybody.
Absolutely. You got it, sir.
Okay. All right, Jose. Thank you so much. Good
Yeah,
talking to you. Good seeing you. And we'll be in touch.
absolutely. Let me
And
know if there's
I'll
anything
send you a
else.
copy of this video.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
All
brother.
right. Take it easy, huh?
You too. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.